I'm supposed to introduce myself, so hi, I'm Bill Rothacker. I'm here with my wife Laura. I may be here with some of the children, William, Michael, Aaron, Kay, Christine. I live in Denver, Colorado, or Cherry Hills, Colorado, and I'm here tonight to say goodbye to YPO. Well, I was born in Chicago. I think I lived there for 3 years. Went to Colorado Springs for 1 year, of all places, and it's just amazing that I ended up back here in Colorado, and then moved out to San Diego, California, where my mom and dad raised me and did a fantastic job because they had little to work with. My dad was an engineer at a company called Rohr Industries, which I don't think exists anymore, and my mom was a housewife. And they dedicated themselves to raising me and helping me, which was a great deal, and I have to say thanks to them for that because, you know, those of you who know me pretty well know I have had a very severe hearing disorder since I was little, and so that was a lot of work. In fact, I'm wearing a hearing aid here today, and it was, you know, they did a tremendous effort, and I really owe a lot to them. Probably the milestone that really where I saw a lot of development was in college. I went to 2 colleges, undergraduate, and got degrees from them, Claremont, McKenna, and Stanford, and then went on for a couple graduate degrees from Stanford. And I made a career choice to go to work for an accounting firm because I felt it fit my personality, which is, you know, boring and dry. And then I went on and from there, and I went back to business school at Stanford, and I decided I'd like to be in some form of sales, and then lo and behold, I went to Trammell Crow. I thought I'd be working there for 18 months, but it's evolved into 4 different companies while I've been with it, and the last being the going public part of it. I don't know if pride's the right term, but boy, what a blessing to have, you know, great wife, 5 kids, see them work together, grow, prosper. You know, I don't know how much I have to do with it, but I feel like it's a great compliment. And boy, what a blessing. You know, as an organization, some people go to the extreme and say, oh, it just, you know, had tremendous impact on their lives. But I think in a realistic tone, you know, it impacted my family with some of our experiences. It impacted my business because I actually learned some things that have had very definite impacts on my ability to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And finally, it impacted me personally with some of the experiences, the people I've met, the way I've been able to, you know, grow while I've been in YPO. And when you look at an organization and it meets that litmus test, it's really very complimentary to that organization, and it's been great for me. Who do I owe my career to? Probably my parents. You know, the lessons that I learned from them, integrity, hard work, you know, all the stuff that Abe Lincoln talks about. I really did learn from them, and I finally realized that as I got into my 40s. Thank goodness it wasn't too late for me to thank them, but you know, those values are so important, and gosh, I hope I can do that for my kids. When I joined YPO, what did 49er mean to me? 49er meant someone that was pretty old, on the downhill side. You know, geriatric seems to come up, you know. Wheelchair instead of rocking chair. And, you know, generally someone that had done it all and was out to pasture.
And what does it mean to you now?
Youthful, exuberant, just in his second adolescence, you know, crazy guy, looking forward to doing things that are a little bit different. Plenty of life. Thank God for biotechnology. I'd like to, you know, thank the officers and the board of the Colorado YPO chapter for giving me the opportunity, one, to be part of their chapter, because It reinvigorated me as far as YPO goes. The other chapter had become a little bit anonymous and has since changed, but it was just great to be part of a vibrant chapter with great people, with lots of energy. And it really reinvigorated me with respect to YPO and greatly increased my experience, increased the value of my experience. You know, I think it's a neat part of YPO that they allow the the exiting people to have this night where they get honored or they get noticed, because it's a great milestone in one's life. And it's so neat because I'll have this memory, and I'd like to thank you for the memory.
Hi, I'm Jeff Ross, and I'm here tonight to participate in my own graduation, my second graduation from YPO. This is the second time I've been honored as a 49er. I don't know how I'm going to arrange the third event, but I'm working on that currently. I live here in Denver with my wife Mary, our 2 kids, and I look forward to moving on to another relationship, but a continued relationship with this group. I had a series of quite normal jobs along the way after school, and always was amazed that I wasn't running the company. That wasn't amazing at all to the people who were actually running the company. And so I didn't exactly prosper in those larger, more conventional firms. About 20 years ago, I discovered it was far more appropriate if I worked for a company that was so small that I could actually run it myself. And in a couple different iterations, I've been doing that for the last 20 years. Who do I owe my career to? Well, given that I haven't been a great corporate success story about a guy starting out as the janitor and working his way up to president before he was 40, I have to take some of the responsibility or the blame or the credit myself. I have very much been a lone wolf trying to work within the confines of investment opportunity, going out and identifying sectors that seem promising, finding individual investments, buying them, managing them, and then finally liquidating them. So very much I have been a solitary person. Now, in each step along the way, I have sought out friends, mentors, my wife, others in YPO for a formal or informal sounding board. YPO has been very helpful for me in the general and in the specific. In general, just the confidence and sort of the guidance you get by talking to other people who've set out on their own and been successful. In specific, and I think this is a complete violation of protocol, a number of fellow YPO members have invested along with me in various ventures along the way. And they have provided not only their capital but their encouragement. And so that has been, that's been very helpful. A couple of ideas. One is reach out to the new members, because among the new members are some of your life's best friends. What an opportunity to have those people and to see them once a month. Remember that when they go to those first meetings, they don't know anybody, and they're wide open, and they really appreciate you going up and getting to be friends with them. And I can tell you with the benefit of 15 years of hindsight, some of my best friends on the planet today were made in exactly that form, just going up to some complete stranger at the beginning of a YPO meeting and saying hi. My theory on assholes is pretty straightforward. It is that an asshole is somebody you don't know well. And when you actually get to know somebody well, it's very unlikely they will stay in that category. Thank you for that question. I have a YPO rocking chair in the basement of my house, and it's gathering dust down there. I don't feel that it is an entirely appropriate thing for someone as young as those 49ers, but nevertheless it's a traditional gift, and I assume that this chapter will move on and give something more creative, like a brand new titanium bicycle, could I suggest? That would be a great gift. I'd really enjoy that. Or maybe a new pair of shaped skis, shared adventures. Not a rocking chair, please. Thanks for the great opportunity to be part of YPO. It has been one of the most important, meaningful things in my life. And just in a sentence, I'd recommend to each one of you, take advantage of this. It's a brief window, it's a special opportunity, and dive into it, embrace it, because I don't know of any other opportunity to spend this much interesting time with such a great peer group. So I recommend you guys just jump into it. Thank you so much. I've loved every minute of it. And I particularly want to thank you for dusting me off. Some people thought I was buried with YPO when I was 49'd out the first time. And the Colorado chapter came along and brushed the dirt off me and brought me back for a second iteration. And it's been very special for me, and I want to thank you very much for that opportunity. It turns out that it's pretty good fun to be kicked out of YPO. It's more attention than an individual deserves, probably wants, but nevertheless I feel surrounded by good friends, as I did last time. And I assure you that I'm being booted out of the organization. I'm not planning to leave you guys alone. I look forward to seeing more of you in the future. As soon as I have certain birth certificates falsified, I plan to be right back in the application process.
Hi, I'm Mark Pepperzak. I'm married to Karen Pepperzak. I'm the proud father of Joe and Katie Pepperzak, both of them who are back east in school. And I live in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm a dairy farmer, and I'm the chairman of Aurora Dairy Corporation. I come from a very unusual background. I was born in West Africa and grew up around the world, spending most of my time, most of my youth in Thailand and Italy and in Holland. As I was growing up, I always thought I would be an international diplomat or a scientist, two very different things, and that's because my father was a PhD agronomist, and he taught me the rigors of science, and I felt that I was supposed to do that. And then the other side of the coin was we lived in these international diplomatic communities, and I aspired to be one of those guys. And so that's what I thought I'd do when I grew up, not knowing anything about business, frankly, or even aspiring to anything in business till well after moving to the United States. What got me to where I am today is good luck, good friends, and good family, and circumstances that simply provided opportunity that I was able to identify and take advantage of. I owe my career to a couple of elderly gentlemen, one who's since passed away a long time ago. When I left Berkeley, when I graduated from Berkeley, I went to work for a large company called Del Monte Corporation, and after only 1 year, was fortunate enough to meet a fellow who also worked there, who was a neighbor, who said to me, "You should be in your own business." And he was 65 years old at the time, and I said, "Well, I can't go into my own business. I need some money to do that." And he said, promised me $1,000 a month for 6 months to start a business, which is what we did. And quite frankly,
We had no idea what we were going to do, but we rented an office, and he gave me $1,000 a month. We brought in another guy and sat around and looked at each other and said, now what do we do? So he was very important to my career. The second person who was very important to my career was an elderly gentleman who is now 90, one of my mentors today, who I met at Berkeley. When you're a foreign student, you are welcomed and taken care of at times like Thanksgiving and so on by other alumni, and he was one of those alumni, and he was one of our early on investors of this venture that we started in 1973, which we didn't know what we were going to do, which ultimately became the dairy business. What's driven me most of my life in business and personally is the quest to do and to live in a way that I enjoyed, that would make me happy and make those around me happy. The paradigm of what makes me happy or what makes other people happy has changed over time as I've matured. But clearly almost everything I've done in business, everything I've done personally, are those things are what could I do, what will I do to make sure that I get the most out of life and enjoy it. I'm most proud of, in my business career, I'm most proud of co-founding or founding companies, businesses. I'm very proud of being a co-founder of Horizon Organic, being a co-founder of General Fire and Casualty Insurance, First Bank of Idaho. But over the years, that's the thing that I've been most proud of from a business perspective. From a personal perspective, I think I'm most proud of how I've handled the situation with my own family. Without a doubt, my biggest inspiration is probably my wife, Karen. She inspires me to do and challenges me to do things that I really otherwise would not do. When I joined, I thought being a 49er meant that you were old and over the hill and clearly the wise person to only be listened to when necessary. I feel very differently about that today, but I suspect young YPOers would still feel the same as I felt. I believe that 49ers are just that, and I completely agree with the evergreen policy of 49ers leaving YPO when they reach the age of 50, and I think that's appropriate. I'm very proud to have been part of the group that co-founded the Colorado chapter. I believe it's one of the better things that I've done in my life, and I believe that the chapter has done extremely well and will be one of YPO's best chapters on an international basis if it isn't already. And my parting words are, please continue to do that. It makes me and others very proud, and I hope that each and every one of you have the same feelings about the chapter when you retire that I do. If I was on the podium addressing this group tonight, I would express my deepest gratitude to the chapter for allowing me to be part of it in a postgraduate form for the last couple of years. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I would express my desires that the chapter continues to have a wonderful success and great experience for all. Being kicked out of YPO twice is a great honor. I'm not looking forward to being kicked out 3 times, mind you, but I think having the opportunity to be kicked out twice is afforded just a few people, and what a great feeling. It's just terrific.
I'm Steve James. I hope most of you know that. I moved to Colorado about 5 years ago. Live in the middle of downtown Boulder, the corner of 9th and Spruce. Was one of the lucky guys that was a part of forming this new chapter. A little over 3 years ago, we had our meeting out at the Canyon Ranch. I've got a son who's 24 and goes to CU, and I think he's a junior. And I've got two daughters. One's Amy's 31 and she lives in Detroit and she's a flight attendant for Northwest. And I've got a daughter, Kristen, 33, who lives in North Carolina and she's married. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I got out of there for good behavior when I was 12. Moved to Chicago. Have an older sister who's 5 years older than I am, named Jan. My dad was worked for a company called Ditto Incorporated, and his name was James James. My mother was political secretary to a senator named Chuck Percy. I went to college at Denison University in Ohio and went back to Chicago, and I was very intimidated because most of the guys I went to school with were much smarter than I was. So one of the few smart things I ever did was I joined the computer business in the late 60s. It seemed like it was going to grow so fast that a less than average person could actually get promoted, and that strategy seems to have paid off pretty well. The most exciting thing I ever did in business was I sold the first telephone switches to MCI back in the 70s to Bill McGowan and Burt Roberts. I then went out to California about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and was president of a scientific instruments company, including we built a brain scanning device. And to prove that anybody in this country can get a patent, I have one on a brain scanner. And then I came to Colorado 5 years ago, where I spend my time on 7 for-profit boards, 2 not-for-profit boards, and do some investing in venture capital and try to tell CEOs how they ought to run their companies better. What got me to where I am today? You know, probably a lot of hard work. I'm very tenacious. I don't give up on things. Glass is always half full. I'm really an optimist. You know, I don't know that I've really had a bad day, ever. So those are probably the things that got me to where I am today. Hopefully they're going to take me to where I want to go tomorrow. By far my biggest passion in life is helping build homes for the poor down in Tijuana, Mexico, where I was privileged to take a large part of the chapter that's at this event tonight. I go down about 5 or 6 times a year, either with corporate groups or just friends of mine or YPO groups, and it's by far the most fulfilling thing that I do in my life. Without a doubt, I have made the best friends I've ever made in my life in the YPO organization, and I've taken away so much more than I've given. It has been a safe place to grow personally. It's been a safe place to take off the mask and be vulnerable in a forum. It's been an incredible place to be stretched and to gain from the experience of so many other successful people. So there's not enough time on this tape tonight to talk about the impact of YPO, but it's been the top experience of my life. What's it mean to be a 49er? It's bittersweet. It's been the best of times in YPO to have the opportunity to help foster the birth of this chapter and to be involved with a handful of people that helped put it together and use some of the experience I've gathered in YPO is the sweet part. The bitter part was that, being a 49er lets you know that you got to leave YPO. I was blown away at Canyon Ranch. First, we had just a great handful of people that helped start this chapter, and we talked about what we wanted the emphasis to be on, and we wanted it to be on great values and not on stuff and not on money and not on material things. And well, we recruited a bunch of very bright, successful CEOs, and there was just a great feeling from the beginning with everybody. I think Lee Rice probably added to that, mixed that weekend. So I think this chapter got off to a great start, and I think that we have focused most of our attention and our time on personal growth and values and stretching ourselves and bonding and not on the material stuff. As I leave the chapter, I strongly recommend to you guys that you that you not only cling to those values, but that you're going to have to fight for them. It's going to be easy for the stuff to grow into us, and it's going to be easy to get distracted over big parties or who's got an airplane, and boy, that stuff rounds to zero. How does it feel to be kicked out twice out of YPO? It's very rude. I used my first rocking chair for kindling to start a fire not long after I received it, and I hope that you're not going to give me another rocking chair, because I'm going to do the same thing with it. I think this is cruel and unusual punishment to kick somebody out publicly like this. It's rude and distasteful. What's your next question? Yeah, can I sum up the evening? Thanks.